There is a specific moment every night when the noise of the world finally shuts off, but the noise in your head doesn't. The house is still, the lights are down, the day is officially over, yet deep in your chest, there is a restlessness that refuses to settle, and it is in that quiet gap, in that fragile space between exhaustion and sleep, that God often speaks the clearest, not with a shout, not with shaking ground, but with a whisper that says, "I am right here, let me hold you tonight." This script is an invitation into that whisper, a slow, deliberate exhale for a weary soul. It is a recalibration of your heart and mind in the presence of the one who never sleeps, never clocks out, and never leaves you unguarded for a single second. The scriptures you heard earlier opened a door, and now we are going to walk through that doorway together. We are going to breathe again. We are going to set down the heavy things, and we are going to let the God of rest, the God of peace, the God of the night watch speak over you like a father tucking in his child. Psalm 4:8 says, "I will lie down and sleep in peace, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety." Pause right there. I will. Not I might. Not if the circumstances are perfect. Not if I can get my anxiety under control. But I will. It is a choice, a surrender, a sacred handing over of the night to the God who invented rest long before you ever struggled to find it. And notice the promise. It is you alone who make me dwell in safety, not my routine, not my distractions. God himself becomes the shelter. God himself becomes the wall between you and whatever is threatening your peace. So as you settle into this experience, imagine his peace not as a concept, but as a person, a presence that wraps around you like warmth, like armor, like a blanket woven from the breath of heaven. Imagine a love strong enough to stand guard while you are unconscious, a love that sees every racing thought, every unspoken fear, and every quiet ache you hide from everyone else. You don't have to perform here. You don't have to pretend to be strong here. You are fully seen, fully known, and fully safe. Then the words of Jesus in Matthew 11 float gently into the room. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This isn't just poetry, this is a divine summons. Jesus doesn't say, "Fix yourself first." He doesn't say, "Sort out your mess, then come back." He doesn't say, "Only come if your faith feels unshakable." He calls the tired. He calls the overloaded. He calls the ones who don't have answers, who lack clarity, who have prayed the same prayer for 100 nights and still feel the pressure. He calls you exactly as you are because he knows that true rest isn't found by striving harder, it is found by collapsing into him. And tonight, collapsing into him looks like putting down what your mind keeps trying to pick up. It looks like releasing the day's battles, the questions about tomorrow, the fears you haven't said out loud. It looks like letting his gentleness touch the parts of your soul that have been clenched tight for years. He says, "Learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart." Gentleness isn't weakness. It is strength under control. Humility isn't smallness. It is a Savior who kneels beside you rather than towering over you. That is God's posture toward you tonight. Proverbs 3 takes us deeper. When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. There is something holy about that word sweet. It means undisturbed. It means untroubled. It means untouched by the torment anxiety tries to smuggle in. Fear is loud, but God's confidence is louder. And as you breathe, as you settle, as you let go, his protection rises like a fortress between you and everything that seeks to steal your peace. You don't have to fight through the night. You don't have to be your own bodyguard. He will be your confidence. And then Psalm 23 whispers into the dark, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Notice, it doesn't say you bypass the valley. It doesn't say you sprint out of the valley. It says you walk through it, and you never walk alone. God's rod and staff aren't symbols of punishment. They are symbols of protection and direction. In the dark, when shadows look bigger than they really are, his presence becomes the steady hand on your shoulder reminding you, you are safe, you are covered, you are not walking this valley by yourself. As you inhale, imagine his nearness. As you exhale, imagine releasing everything that cannot follow you into God's rest. Anxiety might try to circle back, but Philippians 4 speaks directly to it. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything. By prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. As you present them, feel the transfer, the shifting of weight from your weak shoulders to his strong ones. Feel the peace that surpasses understanding begin to wrap your mind like a shield. This is only the beginning. There is a moment in every night, usually right after you have handed God the things you cannot control, when a quiet stillness settles in. It isn't just the absence of noise, it is the presence of someone. You begin to sense that you are no longer trying to calm yourself down. You are being calmed. You are no longer trying to protect your own peace. You are being protected. And it is in that sacred exchange that 1 Peter 5:7 stops being just a verse and becomes a release. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Think about that. The God who sculpted the oceans, who carved the mountains, who spoke galaxies into existence, cares for you, not in a distant, abstract way, not in a vague, general way. He cares for you with specificity, with focus, with the intentionality of a father who counts every tear, hears every sigh, and anticipates every need before you even whisper it. When he says cast, he is talking about a full transfer, not a temporary loan of your worries, not a momentary confession before taking them back in the morning. He is asking for the heavy lifting you were never designed to do. And then Psalm 121 lifts your chin. I lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. In the stillness of the night, your spiritual posture shifts. You stop looking inward for strength. You stop looking around for solutions. You look up. You remember the one holding the universe together is the same one holding you together. The same God who commands the stars, who paints the sky with quiet confidence. That God is the one helping you. That realization alone begins to loosen the knot in your chest. So now the prayer deepens. You begin to step into a conversation with God that is unhurried and unfiltered, the kind that only happens in the small hours when the heart is honest and the soul is tender. You acknowledge that he is your keeper, the one who never slumbers nor sleeps. You begin to say, Father, as the world rests, I rest in you. It is a confession of trust, not because life is perfect, not because answers are clear, but because his presence is steady. As you speak with him, gratitude naturally rises. You remember the small mercies of the day, the moments of protection you didn't even notice, the grace that carried you through situations you weren't strong enough to handle alone. And something shifts. Your mind slows down. Your heartbeat steadies. Gratitude realigns your thoughts with reality. It pulls you out of the spiral of what if and anchors you in God is with me. You admit your faults, not in shame, but in freedom. Confession becomes a cleansing rain. Forgiveness becomes a warm covering. And suddenly the night doesn't feel heavy anymore. It feels holy. God isn't looking at you with disappointment. He is drawing close with love. You forgive those who hurt you, not because it feels fair, but because you refuse to carry into tomorrow what God is willing to heal tonight. Then something beautiful happens. The prayer turns into surrender. You begin to lay every thought, every worry, every ambition into his hands. You realize you don't need to keep watch. He is your watchman. You don't need to guard the door. He is the door. He is your strong tower, your refuge, your hiding place, your shield in the dark. And that shield isn't fragile. It isn't a metaphor. It is real spiritual protection that stands between you and every form of darkness. As this truth settles in, fear loses its oxygen. The shadows in your mind shrink. The anxieties lose their grip. You begin to picture your heart as a sacred haven, a place where God's presence reigns and fear collapses. Peace doesn't arrive all at once. It rises slowly, like dawn breaking over the hills. You begin to feel the weightless freedom of someone who is truly safe. Not safe because life is predictable, but safe because God himself is near. You pray for a rest that is more than physical. You ask for a rest of mind, clarity where confusion once lived. You ask for a rest of emotions, calm where tension once pulsed. You ask for a rest of spirit, renewal where exhaustion once whispered. This is the kind of rest only God can give, and it becomes a sanctuary for your soul. In this prayer, something else begins to rise. Trust. Trust that God's presence surrounds your home. Trust that his angels watch over your sleep. Trust that his promises hold firm even when your circumstances feel shaky. And as trust rises, fear fades further into the background. You begin to realize you aren't praying for God's presence. You are praying from God's presence. You ask for protection, not out of panic, but out of confidence. You declare that no plan of darkness will succeed, not because you are strong, but because God is stronger. You lean into him, and the night becomes an altar of surrender, where the peace of heaven settles over every square inch of your heart and home. The prayer expands outward. You begin to pray for the world, for the hurting, for the broken, for those who do not yet know the safety you feel right now. And in doing so, your heart aligns with the heart of God, who loves far beyond the boundaries of your own life. You ask him to make you an instrument of peace, a vessel of his love, a carrier of his light. And as this part of the prayer reaches its resting point, the night feels different. Not darker, not quieter, but filled with the presence of a God who is near, who protects, who restores, who speaks peace into the deepest parts of you. And now, as the night deepens and the world grows even quieter, something sacred happens. It is the kind of stillness where the soul finally unclenches, the kind where all the noise of the day slowly fades until only one voice remains, the voice of the one who has carried you since the moment you were formed, the voice of the God who has never once abandoned his post as your protector, your healer, your strength. This is the part of the night where vulnerability becomes holy, where every hidden ache is safe to surface, where you no longer rush your words or filter your thoughts. You simply rest in the one who knows you fully and loves you completely. You begin to ask for what you truly need, not just what you think you should pray for, but what your soul has been longing to say all along. And you pray, Lord, protect my sleep, guard my dreams. Because sleep is not just biological, it is spiritual. Your dreams are not just random images. They are windows, reflections, places where God can reveal, heal, strengthen, or calm. So you ask him to stand watch over your subconscious, to keep nightmares far away, to silence every whisper of fear that tries to intrude. You ask him to let your dreams carry peace instead of panic, clarity instead of confusion, rest instead of unrest. You ask him to surround your mind with his presence so fully that even while you sleep, your spirit remains held. And then your prayer moves deeper. Lord, renew me, restore me, heal me. You begin to ask not just for a restful night, but for actual transformation in the night, for God to do what only he can do while your body rests. You ask him to repair what feels broken inside you, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You ask him to touch every cell with the healing power of his spirit, to breathe life into places that feel depleted, to place his hand over every hurt, every wound, every anxiety that has lived inside you for far too long. You ask him to heal sickness, not with fear attached, but with faith rising. You ask him to mend what stress has strained. You ask him to restore what trauma has torn. You ask him to bring peace where panic once lived. You ask him to fill every empty space with his presence. And you pray for tomorrow, not out of dread, but out of hope. God, give me strength for what lies ahead. Strength to face the challenges you know about, strength to face the ones you don't, strength to walk in integrity, strength to choose peace instead of reaction, strength to resist temptation, strength to stay grounded in him when life pulls at you in 100 different directions. Because while you don't know what tomorrow holds, you know the one who has already stepped into it ahead of you, and that truth alone becomes a kind of rest. You lay your needs before him, the practical, the spiritual, the secret. You trust him with provision. You trust him with guidance. You trust him with outcomes you cannot control. You trust him because he has never once failed you, even on the days when you misunderstood his timing. You invite him to lead you, to guide your steps, to help you recognize his voice more clearly, to let his wisdom govern your choices, to align your desires with his direction so that your life moves with purpose instead of pressure. And then your prayer widens again, because God is not only concerned with your heart, but with the world around you. You pray for healing where there is sickness, for peace where there is conflict, for hope where there is despair. You ask him to touch families, cities, nations. You ask him to break cycles of harm. You ask him to breathe revival into places that feel spiritually dry, not because you are trying to sound spiritual, but because your heart has started beating in rhythm with his. True rest does that. It softens you, it widens you, it makes space for compassion again. And now, as this long conversation with God reaches its gentle closing, you feel a shift, not just in your thoughts, but in your spirit. A quiet confidence wraps around you, a calm certainty that you are held. You realize that the night is no longer something to survive. It has become a sanctuary, a place where God meets you, heals you, restores you, and prepares you for what lies ahead. So you give him one final offering tonight: trust, pure, unclenched trust. Trust that he watches over you as you sleep. Trust that no weapon formed against you will stand. Trust that his angels are stationed at the borders of your home. Trust that his presence fills every room. Trust that you are safe, deeply safe, in the arms of a faithful God. And with a heart now steady, a mind now quiet, and a spirit now at peace, you whisper the closing words of this night: into your hands I commit my spirit. I rest under your protection. I sleep in your peace. Thank you for hearing from me. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for staying with me through the night. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.